Hey Internet, it is Gunter with MiniMishaps Games, and today we are going to be adding our 10 stats to our development of the new TTRPG system. Last time on Let's Make Our Own Games, we are going to be building our own role-playing game systems from scratch. Huh? That was it? That was the whole flashback? Okay, so last time we didn't get into very much detail about anything creating the game wise. It was mostly an announcement and to let you guys kind of know the direction that we were going to take, which is that we're going to design a game, and you're welcome to design your own games along with us. We'll go through the steps. And so today's steps is we're going to be assigning stats, traits, whatever your version of the numbers that cause a character to be and function. And ours, we're excited to announce, ours is called F.I.S.T.S and M.I.N.D.S, and it stands for flexibility, impact, speed, toughness, skill, magic, influence, neuronics, divinity, and strategy. So the acronym spells out F.I.S.T.S and M.I.N.D.S. This is 10 steps that, if you're translating from another TTRPG, replaces the stats of strength, dexterity, wisdom, constitution, charisma from D&D and Pathfinder. It also replaces the movement from those systems. It replaces the skills from those systems, so it'll be in place of all of the lower skill or the animal handling, all of those kinds of skills that are based on stats will be rolled into the 10 traits, we're going to call them, for F.I.S.T.S and M.I.N.D.S. So we're going to be going through each one of these, and let's jump right in. So if you're converting from Dungeons & Dragons or Pathfinder, the flexibility trait will replace a lot of the parts of dexterity, but not the parts that have to do with fine motor skills, which will be the skill ability separately. So that the dexterity parts kind of got divided between those two traits. Also with flexibility, this outside of battle is going to be your stealth capability. So, and the neat thing about this is at the higher levels you actually include other creatures and allies in your being stealthy. So that's a kind of a different twist on that ability as well. The next we have the I is impact, and this is again parts of strength, but it is the damaging parts. And then we'll talk about toughness as sort of a different kind of strength, but the how much can you lift, how much can you crush, how big of weapons can you use is the impact, and then accordingly the damage that follows. The first S, and there's three, the first S in F.I.S.T.S is the speed, and this essentially, one of the things that's going to make this, I hope, system easier to use, more intuitive, more broad when it comes to customization, is the fact that everyone has a base, and then as you level you choose which traits to move above the base. So in the case of speed, you are just adjusting the number of squares that you can move on a map as you increase that stat in levels. It also, in battle, if you have enough speed, you can end up surprising the enemies or moving yourself up in the turn order, and even at higher levels adding extra actions. T is for toughness, and it correlates directly to hit points, so it also correlates to your ability to fight off negative effects. So it's going to be a little bit of constitution, a little bit of hit points, a little bit of those saving throws from other systems. The toughness will impact whether or not you stay asleep or stay afraid, or all of those kinds of things. Any negative effect that an enemy would put on you in battle, the toughness will help you reduce the amount of time that you're affected. And the second S, which is the last S in F.I.S.T.S, that's very difficult to say, is our skill, and these are the physical traits. So flexibility, impact, speed, toughness, and skill are all done with muscles in the body in some way. And then M.I.N.D.S is the abstract qualities. So, but our skill is your other half of the dexterity bit. Anytime that you're doing something small with your hands, hand-eye coordination, the fine motor skills, crafting items, all those things are going to be under skill. Alright, moving on to M.I.N.D.S, we have magic. This is your ability to tap into the different magical energies in the world, the ability to learn spells. Now, this is more comprehensive than the class-related spells in D&D and Pathfinder, in terms of anybody can add a point of magic and can learn any kind of spells, including nature-related or clerical-related or those kinds of things. So the ability to gain spells, even if you are a religious zealot, is in the magic arena of the trait. So the I in M.I.N.D.S is influence, and this is most closely related to what was charisma before. So while it doesn't exactly match, it is your ability to gain favor, your ability to talk your way out of situations, all those things, as well as intimidating and the other charisma-related features that you're used to. And then, but includes at higher levels the working a crowd and being able to talk to large groups, etc. Our N in M.I.N.D.S is neuronics, and this is your neurons, your brain. This is your ability to learn things. So in battle, this is knowing your enemy's weaknesses, which essentially adjusts the difficulty of fighting them. And then out of battle, this is your trivia, your lore checks from Pathfinder, your history and nature, and in previous editions, things like Dungeoneering and Streetwise from 4th edition in D&D. All of those would fall under neuronics, or your brain's ability to come up with the answer. So lore, history, all of that is wrapped up in neuronics. Then you have your D is divinity, and this is your ability to connect with the greater powers. Now, it's not just deities, it's also, higher level angelic beings and demonic beings, or even high level psychic machines, or it can really be anything. As long as it is powerful enough to give spells and boons and answers, then you can enter what is called a dream state with that being. And this is sort of like a little miniature scenario area where you can interact with the deities as an NPC. You can ask questions. You have to be a little bit careful, because if your divinity skill is low, you can end up offending different powers, etc. But that is the divinity. So it is not part of the spell learning. Adding spells is universally tied to neuronics, and so divinity is specifically going to be related to boons and answers and the dream state. We have got our last S is strategy, and this is a pretty unique mechanic as far as compared to the other two that I've mentioned today. It doesn't really have facets of that. There are certain spells that allow you to take actions on behalf of an enemy or another creature, but the strategy in battle for the Fists and Minds system allows you to move other players, other creatures, enemies, parts of the terrain as to set up the advantageous part of the battle. So, and this outside of battle, this is going to be where you're tracking in kind of the streetwise and nature and dungeoneering of 4th edition D&D. So that is a very fast rundown of the Fists and Minds system, and we'll be giving more in the next video about leveling up and how to use those 10 traits, and then in videos beyond that we'll talk about the classes and peoples, which essentially determine your starting traits and give you extra bonus abilities, etc. But for next time, look forward to how to level up the traits and what it means for each of the traits at higher levels. So thanks for tuning in, and we will see you guys in the next video. Thanks, Internet.